Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Salute.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Salute. How are you?
Thank you. I'm okay. Maybe let's just give it 1 minute to allow others to join. Just give it 1 minute.
Yes, please. Even 2 or 3 minutes will be okay.
Okay. All right. Then let's give it 3 minutes just to allow other people to join in. Okay, maybe we can now start. Good afternoon once again. My name is Adrian Saluti.
Adrian.
Okay, thank you very much. So we invited you for this knowledge sharing. We are calling it knowledge sharing because we have to hear from you, and then we also share what we have. I think that in the email that we sent you, we gave a background as to why we invited you for this particular meeting. The reason was that arising from the returns that have been submitted, we got feedback from our sister office who looks at the returns, who are responsible for the returns, and they told us that they gave us a list and they highlighted the problem as we indicated. So that is the problem that we want to discuss. With me is Mrs. Nyirenda Chinyama. I also have Mr. Hector Chilembo, and I think we also have Mr. Tseng and Mr. Lito. Kindly just introduce yourselves in that order to our taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salute, and good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much for the overwhelming response. I think, yes, as Mr. Salute has stated, it's a knowledge sharing session. We know that you could have other issues other than just what we called for. Feel free to open up and utilize the chat box. For us, we are in taxpayer education. So should you feel there is an area that we're not doing well, or you need to give us feedback on our e-platforms that we're currently giving you, please feel free to extend that feedback, because it will make us be better and offer you the service that we want you to get. With those few words, I hand over to Mr. Salute. Thank you. Mr. Salute, you may take it up, please.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'll go straight into it. The area that we are actually talking about, like I said in the preamble, we were notified that many of our taxpayers were making a mistake when it came to this part. This arises from the fact that as a taxpayer, when you submit your provisional income tax, the system calculates, and then of course that is divided in the quarterly payments that we actually make. Now, when it comes to submitting of the annual return, there is need for the monies that we would have paid as provisional tax to be actually accounted for. And so when we are submitting a return, when most of our taxpayers are submitting a return, they expect to see a slot which caters for that particular amount of money which they would have already paid in form of provisional tax. Now, that slot is not there in our return. And so most of the taxpayers were putting or slotting the amounts already paid in this particular slot for advance income tax for the charge year. Now, as you can see here, it highlights to say customs. So the provisional tax that we paid cannot be slotted into this particular section. This particular section is for customs. Advance income tax is a type of tax which is charged on the imports. Should be 30%. When you import something into the country, and at that particular time, when you are importing, you are not compliant, the system will charge you advance income tax. Now, this amount is claimable. You can claim back this amount when you come back to us to say you are now compliant and you paid this, this money. Now, this money is supposed to reduce your tax liability when you are submitting your income, your annual income return. So many of our taxpayers put their provisional taxes in this slot and therefore affecting the amount that they were actually supposed to pay. In that case, the liability reduced. So when you put your income, your provisional tax already paid in this particular slot, you now reduce the liability for this particular return. So that is why we thought it is important that we get back to our taxpayers and share this knowledge. The return is made in such a way that the provisional tax that you pay sits on the ledger, and therefore there is no need for you to actually put the amount there. It is supposed to be self-adjusting, but Mr. Lito will do more explanation on the technical part of how that should be. So perhaps at this particular time, I will just invite maybe Mrs. Nyarenda to come in. If I've left out anything, then now we can begin our knowledge sharing. Mrs. Nyarenda, if I left out anything.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salute. So just to emphasize that advance income tax is charged at 15% of your total VDP, total amount that you have declared on the customs bill of entry. Okay, so that is the amount that you need to capture on that provision. So let's not confuse the system. The system will be able to auto reconcile as soon as you submit the final income tax return. So if your final income tax return is equal to your provisional payments that you've made during the course of the year, then what we're expecting is you're going to have a zero liability as you submit that final income tax return come 2022, okay? So if there is any difference where you paid higher in terms of provisional payments and lower on the return, again, you have that negative balance, meaning we owe you, okay? And similarly, the other situation where you have paid less provisional payments and yet you've declared higher on the return, meaning you're going to just pay the difference. So the system is quite intelligent, and it will be able to do the mathematics for you. So we didn't want you, our taxpayers, to be bothered the way we bothered you on the previous system where you have to really account for the tax on its own. Our system now is enhanced and it's quite intelligent. It's able to do that auto reconciliation. So I think with those few things, can we now hear from you on what your experience is when you're submitting the return? Thank you. When you're submitting the return, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
I have a question though. You say that the system is intelligent. What I want to know is that after, let's say, for example, the provisional tax that I've paid is less than what the return is. Now it means I have to pay ZRA, the difference. After I've submitted and the acknowledgement of receipt comes through, will it be the difference that I need to pay, or will it show the amount that I just submitted on the return? Because you must remember that we're dealing with other departments. When you send this for payment, it will show the high amount, whereas you need to just pay the difference. So we need paperwork from the system that shows exactly what we need to pay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salute.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lito. Mr. Lito. Okay, Mr. Lito is not responding. Okay.
Mr. Lito is not responding. Okay. Salute,
Oh, yes.
with your permission.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead.
Oh, yes. I just want to. Okay. Yeah. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah. This is Chilembo from Cocent Tax Consultants, a senior tax consultant. I'm trying to just get a clarification from the previous person who highlighted the implication. So what she's saying is when the return is submitted with a higher liability, say for instance, let's take 20,000, and then there's a provision of 10 that has been paid. So our question is that the acknowledgement will still come out with a 20 liability, or will it show a 10 liability? I don't know whether you got
That's my question.
That's my question. That's a question. So, because what
Okay.
she's trying to clarify, why I've actually brought it, I think we got some concern,
Okay.
Salute, regarding the same. We had received a lot of calls. Because what happens, like the system was not adjusting the way it's supposed. It wasn't adjusting the liability. Because if you have made a 10,000 provisional tax, and then the final tax liability showing 20. So when I do the computation, we are saying it's sitting on the ledger. The client expected to receive an acknowledgement of the 10,000, which was not, I think, happening. I think that's our question if you have gotten it. So we need to address it, I think, in those lines. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I actually understood the question. I wanted Mr. Lito because he's coming from the technical side, so that is why I wanted him to address it. Do we have Mr. Tsanga? Mr. Tsanga, are you in the meeting? Okay, if they are not, then I can handle. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Mwanza.
This is Mwanza. Yes, yes.
Hello, Mr. Mwanza.
Hello. Hello, are you getting me?
You are quite very faint.
Yes, we can hear you.
Very faint.
Let me try to adjust my volume. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Mwanza. Kindly, you are quite faint. Others able to just get him properly?
Hello?
Mr. Chilembo?
Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mr. Chilembo? Yeah, it's okay now. It's okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you
Okay.
pick the
Thank you so
question,
much.
Mr. Mwanza?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mwanza Ezekiel. Yes, I did. I was just failing to raise my hand. I got the question very well. What the concern, according to what I heard, is when someone is about to submit income tax return, they might have AIT. I will be very practical here. Say the liability is 1,000, then AIT is 200. They still have a balance of say 800. On this 800, they might have maybe 600 provisional payments. So the question is, when you input your 200 AIT, they would like the system to show how much is the net amount to owed less provisional payments that the taxpayers made in advance. This is what I heard, isn't it?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, so what, according to the implementation of the system, is as much as you have your AIT sitting with our customs, and then you have your advance provisional payments sitting on the ledger, the reconciliation actually takes place when you submit your income tax return. The notice, of course, will be 800 to show you the actual amount that you are owing for that particular return, as much as the system would have already taken note of the advance payments that you have made. So once you submit your return, which will show the 800 less AIT, the 800 will sit on account. Then when you look at the period balances, the system, the ledger, on the ledger is supposed to reconcile and give you the actual net amount period-wise based on the entire charge year, as in how much you have paid in advance, how much was your AIT, and how much is pending. But the acknowledgement will give you the total liability that is remaining at is pending at submission. When you go to your account, to your ledger, I know there could be a concern that the taxpayers would want to see their pending liability, taking into account the AIT as well as the advance income tax before they submit a return, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I'm wondering. Why is this amount not pulling through? Because I've paid it a few quarters before, so I'm expecting that when I request the final tax return now, it should be pulling through and showing as a negative to show that I've already paid it. So I don't understand why the system is not designed to do that.
Exactly. We also took into consideration that since this is your account, at least the taxpayer would have known how much they would have paid by the end of the year. You already know how much you have paid. You know the quotas.
Yes.
You know the provisional return that you did, 100,000 by 4, 25, 25. I've paid so much. So my liability is so much at the end of the year based on the return. So about 75 was already paid. So this is what we had in our minds. So the taxpayers already know what they have paid. Because if we reduce the notice, if you reduce the amount payable on the notification, will be misleading taxpayers. Because the income tax is totally independent from payments. It has to reflect the actual accounting position of the company during that charge year.
Yes, but I'm not arguing that. But the problem is that when I make payment and I send it to someone else to authorize, I don't have any document, a valid document from ZRA that shows exactly the amount that I want to pay. Because if I pull the ledger from the system, it will come into Excel. I mean, you know, Excel can be manipulated. I would have preferred a document like the acknowledgement of receipt to show the net effect, the amount that I need to pay now.
Correct. But taxpayers do receive the receipts of payments that they make each quarter. So can those receipts be evidence enough that a payment was made to ZRA?
I guess so. This year we do. Yes, this year we do receive the receipts, but last year we didn't, and the system was like this last year already. And I think I've made the same mistake for 2019 as well.
Yeah. You are saying 2019, you never received the receipts after making a payment?
No, I'm starting to receive them only now. The payment receipt
start on your account statement. Okay, let's do this. To move forward, we'll take it as a submission. then we'll see what can be done about it.
Yeah.
But what we had in mind is that since your payments are going to account, you know what you have paid, you know the liability at the end of the year. So the only thing that we thought the system would do validations is AIT, because it doesn't sit with the domestic taxes, it sits with the customs. It's something that is not yet on your account. But for the payments that you do as taxpayers, really they sit on your account. So at the end of the day, at the time you are submitting your annual return, that's the true position of the return. We can't adjust. It's a liability. If it's 100, it's 100. So the notification will show you have submitted the return for 100,000. But when you go to the account statement, you find your 100,000 knocked off by the 25. Net balance, period balance will be 0. That's our expectation. But we can take that as a submission.
Okay.
May I also comment?
Maybe Mr. Bisalom.
Yes,
Mr.
this is Bisalom.
Please go ahead.
All right, thank you. I had raised my hand, so it was being ignored. So anyway, so I've got comments and a question. On the new Tax Online 2, I think maybe it would have been better if we had received this information that you are sharing now, that we are not expected to adjust for any provisional tax payment paid in the return. The reason is, in the previous Tax Online, the way it was set up, it had I think the option for inserting advance income tax as well as inserting the provisional tax. So as taxpayers, we're used to that system of putting the provisional tax in the return, and then we have the net amount. When we submit, even the acknowledgement receipt that will come, it will just be showing the outstanding balance that we'll pay. So coming to Tax Online 2, we've seen that you've taken out the provisional taxes because you are saying it's already sitting on the system, which is okay. But I think the communication, maybe if it was sent out, I missed that. So from my understanding, we kept looking for an option where to insert the provisional tax such that we remain with the net amount that we're expecting to pay. So in my case, we had even inserted the provisional tax under the advance income tax. So my question is, do we need to do anything about that? Are we going to be given a chance to resubmit, or what is the way?
Okay, through the chair, can I come in?
Please do, Mr. Mwanza.
Hello, can I come in?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Mwanza, take it up.
Okay, okay, we have held the concern. When you look at Tax Online 2, this new system, when you, like the previous speaker said, when you make a payment, your provisional payments, we've been making them in all the quarters, right? And then at the end of the year, when the return is due, when you submit your annual return, it sits on account. Immediately, when you log in on the dashboard, the system will show you pending liabilities. But the bit that it consolidates, then you have to itemize to go to the actual return type, tax type, for you to see the pending liability. Now, the other question was, they have already submitted with the advance income tax. Yes, there is a provision for you to do an amendment because your return hasn't yet been assessed. You can amend your return severally until it is assessed. So what you do is you go to your portal, the same period, if say the return is 2020, you attempt to submit another return in the same period, then the system will give you a notification saying this period you have already submitted a return. The only thing you can do is to amend. So you go to amend. When you go to amend, there will be a pop that will allow you to enter the reason why you want to amend. In this case, you say we wrongly included the advance income tax on the return. Then you submit the reason as well as the amendment. The system will allow you to make an amendment here and then. By the time you submit the return, you even submit the reason. When it comes to ZRI now, ZRI will either approve your reason, and then automatically the system is adjusted with your amendments. But you should take note that if the amendment is going downwards, your return will have to go for assessment. In this case, you had included your AIT, meaning you had understated your standing liability. So by removing AIT, your liability will go up. So the system will automatically make an adjustment upon acceptance of your reason to amend your return. Sure.
I go to Nama.
Maybe
Nama.
just before we go to.
Okay. Okay, Nama will follow immediately. Then maybe Mr. Bisalom can ask the follow-up, and then Nama will follow. Okay, let's move like that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mwanza, for explanation. Mr. Mwanza, I think I just wanted to check now. When you take out the AIT, most likely the liability to increase. Will that attract penalties, or will that be?
Okay, we'll answer that one together with the Nama's question. Nama, please proceed.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to find out the way forward. Since now we've made this mistake, we've made this error of wrongly putting income tax, provisional income tax, then how do we go forward? And then also I would like to agree with Novesu too, who was saying that at least if what we paid as provisional income tax would show on the return, that would be much better for us to explain, to our finance team. But now if it's not showing there, you're saying it's on the ledger. And then you're saying, is the ledger, what I do not understand is if we paid provisional income tax of 10,000, and then you see that the ledger automatically, the system automatically takes that into effect. Why was it not showing then on the return that was submitted? Or is it going to do it after? I don't know if I'm clear.
Okay, on the okay, hello. On the way forward, I think that Mr. Mwanza spoke about it. Are you able to get us, Nama?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so on the way forward,
I can hear you.
Okay, on the way forward, I think Mr. Mwanza ably handled that one. He said we can submit the amended return. So we just go to that same period and make the amendment. And then Mr. Bisalom also asked the question. Mr. Mwanza, would you want to pick? Maybe you can continue with so that you handle both questions. Hello, Mr. Mwanza, are you able to get me? Hello? Are you able to get me?
I think Mr. Mwanza's mic is muted, but his hand is up.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, it was. Sorry for that. Sorry for that.
And we are running. Okay. Okay, we are running out of time. What I'll do is I'll send another link just now to the same email if we are cut. But proceed.